Relax. Take a deep breath. Be patient with your growth. Trust the infinite possibilities that you carry within yourself. Because if you trust enough, you will surprise yourself. You'll surprise yourself with your strength and courage. Because 1 minute, you could feel like that star in the sky who's shattered, who's lost in the darkness. But in the next moment, you could rise, gather those pieces of the scattered light to shine again. That's who you are. Embrace your light. Believe in your strength. Believe in your voice. Because you make the darkness look sacred. I am Chandresh Bhardwaj, and this is Break the Norms. Namaste everyone. I hope you're feeling safe. I hope you're feeling grounded wherever you are. As we get into today's topic, I invite you to sign up for the newsletters on cbmeditates.com and leelagurukul.com. They both are going to be very different newsletters. Both of them are going to be non-spammy and very storytelling, spiritual lesson sharing kind of newsletters. In my newsletter, you're going to receive a very direct one-on-one letter form of newsletter where I'll be sharing lessons, tips, stories that have been healing me, inspiring me, and hopefully it will inspire you too. The last newsletter that I sent about the story of a wildflower, that was received so well. So I'm hopeful if you sign up, you would love reading it. And Leela Gurukul's newsletters are going to be filled with tantra, blogs, stories, tips to deepen your awareness, tips to improve your relationship with yourself and others. The next batch of Leela Gurukul School is going to start in September. So sign up to join the list, because as soon as the applications become live, you will be notified and you can apply and you can join the school. What we are going to share today in this podcast is something that was inspired from the conscious meditation program of Leela School. What I'm hearing, reading from the students of Leela, it's been such a learning experience, because there are so many inspirations, so many stories that I listen from them, and I realize this is such a universal thing, and I have to talk about it on the podcast. I have to share these lessons, because one lesson could inspire you, could change your story. And this is something, the topic that I'm going to share today is something I had seen randomly showing up in my own life and in life of others, but I never saw it from this particular perspective. And it's I'm here to share with you, so relax and listen with open mind, open heart, and my hope is this episode will inspire you to think deeply about where you're going and how you're treating your strengths and how you're handling your weaknesses. This episode is not so much about the chakras, but it's a lot about what we call our blessings and our curses. Now, blessing and curses don't really mean something very black and white here. It really implies a form of energy that goes in whatever direction you point it out to. The responsibility comes back to you, my friend. So we don't want to play any blame game that this person or this family member or either of the parent did this to you, and that's why you were not able to channel the blessing into a curse or the curse into blessing. Either way, we will take the responsibility of who we are, where we are, because that's the only way we can move from here onward. In this episode, you'll realize that blessings and curses, they do not look different. They look the same, they have same personality, they have the same texture, same flavor. It's ultimately up to our awareness, how we choose to channel it, how we choose to address those energy forms within us. Now, there are many aspects that could affect the blessings and the curses. Your family narrative, how your family believes about relationships, about money, about rest, about success, about death, about grief. Whatever they believe strongly is of course going to affect you. The cultural conditioning has a huge impact on your blessings becoming curses or vice versa. The cultural conditioning could hugely benefit you, or it could absolutely destroy every possibility. But again, it could destroy everything, but the seeds can grow again. That's the beauty of human consciousness. It could feel absolutely shattered and gone, and again you could rise. Again you could surprise yourself and others. The religious beliefs, the spiritual beliefs, they affect the blessing and curse narrative a lot. But also intentions, meditations, how you show up for your sadhana, for your self-reflection, that affects the blessing and curses narrative hugely. And finally, the identity, how you see yourself in this world, how you see yourself with in relation to the people around you, the knowledge, the information you hold about society, the knowledge and information you hold about how humans should connect with each other. And finally, your karmic contracts, the sacred contracts that we sign with each other, either in this life or coming from some random past life. Each contract has a huge impact on how these blessings and curses will show up. But all of these are factors affecting them. None of these factors can take away your power from changing this entire spectrum. And I wanted to explain this topic from various perspectives, and I realized the chakras might be a good map for you to understand. But keep in mind, chakra is a very tiny spectrum of how your blessing and curses will collide. It goes way beyond the chakras. It goes way beyond the mood, the energy, the stress or anxiety. There is a lot that takes place in this whole narrative. But before I could go even into chakras, think about your favorite artist, how they used to write beautiful songs or create amazing music. Are they aging well? Are they able to embrace their relevance compared to what they were maybe a few years ago? Think about your favorite writers. Are they still able to really, lead with the same confidence and not trying too hard to find relevance? I just came across a very senior teacher's newsletter in my inbox. And I didn't know it was their newsletter, but when I clicked on it, I thought it was some random one, but I clicked on it and I was like, if this teacher was, I don't know, starting out their journey and they were 24-year-old, this would be so right. But they are so immensely successful right now, but they're still using those clickbait strategies to invite people in to sell whatever they're selling. And I'm like, do you really need to do this? You are using the same skill, the same power of your teachings, your words, but in a very cringy way, to be honest. You don't need to do that. it's such a beautiful thing for, someone to age gracefully. I mean, this is something I reflect upon, very often. How do I want to uh, connect with my relevance as my work will age, as my body will age? How would I want to connect with my work? Because one thing I do not want to do is try too hard to stay relevant. I hope, like everyone, that I stay relevant with my work. But if I feel, okay, my work is just aging and I need to just meditate on new expressions, but without compromising on the authenticity, that would be such a new learning. But trying too hard and then losing your entire essence in it, that starts to feel just, bad. And I've seen that happening with many artists, many filmmakers, storytellers. They are under the pressure from many people, but they are also get brainwashed that they need to, still be equally relevant, as they were 20 years ago. But the truth is, when they embrace how their work is aging, when they embrace how their energy and their work is being received, then they start to connect with the masses, with the public even better, because there is a relaxation in their expression. There's no unconscious hustle, there's no chase, there's no rat race in their mind, and that reflects in their personality, in their work. And I'm sure you can think of a bunch of artists who just accepted who they are and how they were evolving with time, and you still love them. But there are many who sometimes try a little too hard, and you see that this is not who they are. Why they are trying to make TikToks when it's not coming naturally, because then now you are messing up even the great work that you did. But yeah, I mean, this is related to blessing and curses, because my blessing could be speaking or writing. And if I continue to channel this blessing in a positive, conscious way, it will unfold into something very positive and conscious for others as well. But if I start to go lazy, if the cultural conditioning starts to affect me negatively, if I fall under the pressure of external noises that I need to do it this way because this is how it's being accepted, then the same blessing of writing or listening or speaking could make me do terrible things. And then the tree starts to fall down, it starts to die in a very sad way, honestly. But there are many examples that I'll be sharing in this episode. I want to keep it short because the point is, whatever I'm going to share, these are only going to be glimpses or rough ideas. You will have to sit down alone and reflect on this lesson for yourself. So I chose to share one example for each chakra because hopefully that will help you deeper to understand this. The first example is your ability to find confidence, to find a safe foundation for your growth. You'll notice there are some people, maybe some of you are listening to this right now, you just have a very natural confidence in you. And I truly believe how you were raised has a lot to do with it. Sometimes you just feel that you belong wherever you go. And sometimes your planetary positions are built in such a way that your growth in career will happen through traveling. There are many people who gain their entire fortune in life through traveling. It's just who they are. That's how their work is built. And that's a blessing, to be able to find your foundation wherever you are, to bloom wherever you are. And then you start to understand who you are, and that helps you to start to understand who others are as well. If you continue to use this power in a positive, conscious, amazing way, it works great. But when you start to lose your focus, when you get distracted, or when the comparisons start to come in mind, then you just do things for the heck of it. What was your strength starts to become your biggest weakness. At one point, the strength was to just find your foundation wherever you are, and you will be there for a good amount of time. Build community, build strength, build your conscious abundance. But when this goes wrong, you move too much in life. You are never at one place. And I don't mean just geographically. It could be your relationships. You are not able to maintain your position in one job. You are not able to maintain your relationship with one person. And that could be any relationship. It just doesn't stay there. And you start to jump too quickly, too much. And when anything starts to jump too quickly, you know that it's going to have a weaker foundation. And the point here is to understand if you're jumping too much, to understand the unconscious patterns that are showing up in your jumps, to understand how certain fears, anxieties, insecurities are making you move too much. Because as I said, this could be a very powerful strength. I maintain my work in majorly two places, New York and LA. But before the pandemic, I was traveling everywhere. I would spend a lot of time in London, in India, and I almost, leased an office space in London because I really wanted to build a base there. But I reflected on it for many years, because before that Amsterdam was the place where I had built a very solid base. But I didn't want to let these make me jump too much. And when I realized if it would make me jump too much, I'm going to take a step back. 2 years ago I realized the retreats were happening too much, the speaking gigs were happening too much, and for the first time in 2019 October, I did not book the next retreat space. And 4 months from that day, entire India was in lockdown, US was in lockdown. So I was very thankful that I was able to sense the jump in me, but sense the collective jumping of everyone around me. And I felt it's time to just take a step back, because it just started to feel uneasy. That what is my blessing, what comes very naturally to me, travel, speak, it started to feel a little out of control. And in the last 2 years, I have to say, I was able to really recharge a lot of that blessing. And I'm excited how it will unfold once things become normal globally. For you, I encourage you reflect deeper and ask yourself, what is it about your root chakra, about your Mooladhara energy? How do you relate with your place right now, with your job, your relationship, with your geographical space? And let your awareness guide you. Let your intuition, your heart guide you from here onward. Second one is the sacral chakra or the Swadhisthana chakra. That one is it's connected to many things, and that's for all the chakras, by the way. Each chakra has multi dimensions, but I'm picking up just one specific thing so that this episode can be wrapped up under 40 minutes, maximum. If I go very deep into this, it would be hours and hours of discussion, which we will do at some point, through some other platform. Second one, sacral or Swadhisthana chakra, which is the sexual energy. Now, the blessing of this sexual energy is it's a potent life force in you. It enables you to feel things. It makes you sensual. It opens up all your senses in a very powerful way. Smell, eating, watching, listening. There are so many things you do with the sexual energy moving in you. It builds a very attractive, strong awareness in you. It becomes the first step toward experiencing your higher consciousness. How powerful something must be, that it's actually the first door to your higher consciousness. But if you do not pay attention to it, it will fall downward. And when it falls downward, it becomes a very scary addiction. It could be watching porn, could be unconscious masturbation every day, multiple times a day. It could be just texting the wrong people at the wrong time. It could be indulging in sex randomly, indulging in things that are not respecting your sexual energy. And this will affect your self esteem. It will cultivate shame, guilt, embarrassment, loss of energy, and plenty of other things. And this is a topic that I have touched in many other episodes. This is a topic that I'll continue to touch because sexual energy is something I feel we are just not trained to understand enough. We don't talk about it enough. But this sexual energy has to be treated as a blessing. It is one of the most important foundations that you have. Do not judge how the sexual energy is, because there is no higher or lower there. The higher and lower meet with each other in tantra. So do not judge if I have too much of it or very less of it or none of it. Just acknowledge that there's a form of energy within me that's enabling my creativity, and that's responsible for a lot of life force, a lot of prana in me. Because if it's not channeled well, you already notice the effects of it, right? So, very important. I will not go too deep into it right now, but it's something you can, of course, reflect on many other episodes on sexual energy in my podcast, and you will see there's a lot I've shared about it already. Next one is the solar plexus or Manipur chakra. This is something where your creativity is. If you are honoring it as a blessing, as a sacredness, you cultivate a lot of creative courage, which means you invite original, unconventional, fearless ideas about who you are, about how you want to express yourself. But when this blessing is not understood well, when you are consuming the food or consuming emotions that are not honoring or respecting the energy around your navel, then you start to shrink that creative courage. At one point, you might be thinking that you are so creative, you are at peak of your ideas, and next moment you could be just on the floor with no energy, no confidence, and filled with self-doubts, and you start to question, what I do, does it matter? What I do, does it ever going to make a difference? Am I ever going to make a living based on my passion? Or do I have to live a life filled with stress, anxiety, and fear? That's the circus of the navel chakra. When it's going well, you feel very connected with your purpose, but when it's not going well, you shrink. What can you do to handle this? Number one, I use the word consumption. Consume things very mindfully, and that's every single thing, my friend. Consuming emotions, food, the air you breathe, the books you read, the videos you watch, the podcast you listen, the people you engage with. Consume every bit of that in a very mindful way. You have to consume what you can digest, and the bottom three chakras, they are very sensitive about what you consume, because if you consume too much, you will have a digestion problem, right? And you don't want that, especially with energy. If the energy is not digested well, it will affect a lot, and a lot of your blessings will start to become curses. And I hope this is not a heavy word for you. I couldn't think of any other word, but if you can think of any other word than curses, go for it. I just felt this is something I use for my own journey, that blessings becoming curses. It's just, I think, very important to see the two extremes of the same energy. So pay attention to your creative courage, pay attention to how you're consuming everything, and that will be very, very powerful. The next one is the heart chakra. Now, when you are connected to your heart, you love deeply, you love intensely, you give a lot of yourself to others. When it's going amazing, You could be a lover slash healer. You could be Mahatma Gandhi, supporting people. You could be a great saint like Buddha. You could be an amazing poet. When the heart energy is going well, your connection with yourself and others is based on pure love, pure awareness. There's no agenda there, there's no demand, no possessiveness. It's effortless flow of energy. But when you do not understand the intense flow of love and emotions in you, guess what you start to do? You start to feel that maybe my job is to keep giving. And while you keep giving, you become an overgiver. And when you overgive, you are giving things to people that they are not ready for. You are not only taking away their opportunity to learn life better through their own work, but you're also sort of insulting yourself by giving too much to places where you are not honored, where you are not seen, not valued enough. And this is happening in many places, not in just relationships, but even in the jobs, even in non-profits, I would say. Everywhere. It could be seen everywhere. You have to understand that this is a gift we carry within, to love, to offer our presence, to offer our listening, to offer this unconditional space to others that we love. But if you keep doing that too much, then you are messing up the cycle. There has to be a very respectful, mindful boundary which can respect your energy and which can give others the space to grow as well. And the way I have been trained in my spiritual work, it had a lot of layers, how the teachings will be given. They were never served on the platter. You would have to work for them. It was made very clear that the spiritual truth is not going to be cheap. It's not going to just happen by lighting incense and doing a mantra or going to a temple or staying in Bali for 3 months. It was made very clear that you would have to do your part of work, and that could take 10-15 years. And if you're not willing to do that, that's completely okay. But do not expect that you will be over given or given too easily, because your muscles have to be developed in the process. So the point is, understand how you love, how you listen, how you offer your presence to others, and then create a very mindful, honoring space about how that exchange is happening. Because what is a beautiful blessing could absolutely destroy your mental health and put you in forever anxiety. The next one is throat. The throat chakra. A lot of people feel that they're not able to express themselves, right? A lot of people feel they are shy, they are guarded, they are not comfortable in their vulnerability. And it has a lot to do with how our throat chakras are placed in our energy system. When your energy is aligned and flowing beautifully on throat chakra, you feel that you can impact others. You believe in your voice. You honor your voice. You honor your words. Some of the greatest leaders have used their speech, their voice, to influence others, to change the collective consciousness. Swami Vivekananda, who brought yoga to the West in 1893, I believe, he was one of those people who really channeled his voice really well. His guru, Ramakrishna Paramhansa, when he really did the Shakti part, the energy transfer in him, Swami Vivekananda ji didn't want to go anywhere. He wanted to spend rest of his life, with his guru. But Ramakrishna Paramahansa ji said, your throat chakra is going to help many. So you go out and change the collective energy by spreading your wisdom, because that's not something I do. For Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa, his heart chakra was very powerful. He was in complete union with Goddess Kali. And for those who are interested in learning how to connect with Goddess Kali, I recommend you read a lot about Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So while his strength was the heart, and he was extremely sensitive on the heart, it's unbelievable. When you read about him, you will be like, this kind of human existed just like, few years ago. That's unbelievable. So he sent his student who was very strong on the throat chakra, and Swami Vivekananda channeled his complete voice to make the impact. Look at how Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi did that. Look at how Steve Jobs used to do. He never indulged too much in other aspects as much as he became the face of Apple. He would do the presentation, and I don't think Apple can ever create those kind of goosebumpy presentations that Steve Jobs used to do. I absolutely loved just watching him speak, because the passion, his aggression also, you could feel that, okay, there's a lot going on in his mind. But what a beauty to see someone feel so passionate about a piece he created. But these are the throat chakra qualities. But if we are talking about Steve Jobs, you would also know that a lot of his dark side or messy side also happened because of his speech, because of his words. And that's, I think, a good example for us to know that when you do not mindfully express, when you don't know the power of your speech, your words, you could mess up a lot. And right now, I definitely think this is one of the major problems that we are giving birth to through social media. People are putting intense amount of hate, anger, judgment on social media because it's easy to do that, hiding behind a mic, hiding behind a keyboard. And the point is, if you are a good writer, if you know how to express yourself, you could make a positive impact on social media by writing words that make a difference, by expressing yourself in a way that brings healing to the community. But you could also use that to brainwash, to just multiply hate and violence. And many political leaders, many spiritual teachers do that. So it's a classic case of how your power of blessing of speech expression could go terribly wrong. And this is by the way the first spark that really made me think about this problem of blessings becoming curses, because I've seen plenty of great speakers messing up things only because they were not mindful enough of their words. They were not mindful enough of when to say it, how to say it. Keep in mind, your throat chakra is one of the most sensitive centers you hold in the entire body. It's not only the space of your speech and expression, but also the major bridge between your physical and non-physical dimensions. That's why when the throat chakra messes up things, it's very difficult to reverse that damage. Now, final one is Agya chakra or third eye. Third eye is very powerful. I always felt extremely connected to third eye since my childhood years. All the study I did, all the training I went through, that was all focused around third eye. So when third eye is powerful, or when you're aligned with it, you become a visionary. You are very ambitious. You manifest things very powerfully. You believe in who you are, and no one can shake that belief, ever. And you go all out of way to live your goals, to contribute to your goals, and you have goals way larger than life. And your ambition is what really drives you. And this, my friend, is also the biggest curse. I was watching this, it's just stumbled upon my Instagram on the Reels, the 30-second clip. It was a very popular person who said that I want to dominate the world, and to do that I have to make some sacrifices, and that would include food, sleep, relationships, because domination is not easy. And this is a very loved celebrity I'm talking about. And when This person said, food, sleep, and relationships will be sacrificed to dominate the world. I was like, why do you dominate the world? Number one. Secondly, do you really think you can dominate the world? And do you need to do it? Or why do you need to do it? Why domination needs to happen? Why cannot it be? It could be about just finding a peaceful space to bloom and contribute to the collective energy. You'll still find enough for your ego to bloom there, honestly. But I feel when ambition starts to go wrong, it becomes about domination. It becomes about me and only me. You want the limelight, you want the attention, and you will sacrifice food, sleep, relationships, everything for those big goals. And I never thought I would start to think in this way, but I have started to really reflect on my ambitions. I spent my 20s thinking and overthinking about ambitions a lot. The pressure around me, the pressure to live up to, certain ideas, certain expectations, it was so big. And when I, completed my 20s, I realized every big ambition I had, that did not manifest into anything except stress, anxiety, lack of, it affected my sleep, it affected how I would eat, it damaged a lot of things. But what unfolded in a beautiful way was the areas where I was not stressful enough to make it my ambition, where I was enjoying the process, where I was contributing to some really bigger problems. I was working, meditating on how to solve those bigger problems for others, how my work could change the culture around me. Those were the areas that really fascinated me, and that's where I grew so much as a person, as a spiritual voice. And I realized what we call ambition sometimes become the biggest source of our depression, anxiety, and all the mental health disorders. And this is second most sensitive energy center after throat chakra. You got to make sure that your vision, your strength of manifesting success, your strength of manifesting that conscious abundance should not become the biggest obstacle for you. It happens with Hollywood producers, big leaders, that they become so big and so powerful that their own success starts to eat them up. Their own skill set of making anything happen will become their biggest monster. Because if you are only focused on building this material success and beating others in the game and running the race and coming at first in it, you are doing a lot of damage to your blessings, to your true essence, and that will never find any peace. And that's also the biggest source of our unsettled mind and chaos that we deal with. I'm going to complete the episode here. We don't talk about crown chakra because that's beyond our body, and there will be a separate episode about crown chakra, because crown chakra is one energy center that we have no control over, that we cannot touch, cannot do anything. But if you're aligned with the 6 of your chakras, the crown automatically gets the support. So when I read and hear about people healing the crown chakra, that's another fantasy land that we'll talk about in some other episode. But right now, you really have to focus on these 6 energy centers and how they could affect your blessings and curses. But I also highly encourage that you reflect on your blessing and curses beyond the chakras. You don't have to see them through the chakra perspective. Just look at what are your blessings, what comes very easily to you that don't come as easy to others, and how that could also become a curse if you do not manage it well. And I promise, if you continue to reflect on these blessings in a mindful way, and the curses as well, you will never go off track and life will support you. That's all from me. If this episode resonates with you, do share it on your Instagram, do share it with people who need to listen to it. And if you feel excited and positive enough, please leave a review on the iTunes. That absolutely helps the channel. Thank you for listening. Speak to you next week. I hope this podcast may travel through the untapped universe of your darkness, light, courage, passion, and so much more. Please do subscribe and be ready to break your norms. I am so excited and very honored to be part of your sacred journey through this podcast.